get my watch set right because I don't want to think I have an extra hour. Listen at y'all. You listen. No, Pastor, you get that watch set right. So let me, amen. Y'all can take time to do it also if you like. All right. It's good to see some of my college students home from spring break. And Trenton's here, and Sister Courtney's here. We're just excited about them being here. Amen? Y'all encourage them that when they're not here and they're at college, they can find a church to go to. Every now and again. Amen. So I encourage them to do that on their college campus, wherever they are. Amen? In the book of Mark chapter 4, I'm really only going to use the first part of it. I'm going to read the thought in its entirety. Mark chapter 4. And when you find it, stand to your feet, please. Amen. Mark chapter 4, beginning at verse 35. On the same day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." That's about all I really need right there. But now, when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat as he was, and other little boats were also with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the winds and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already filling. Verse 38, but he was in the stern, asleep on a pillow. And they awoke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Then he arose and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" And they feared exceedingly and said to one another, "Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Verse number 1, chapter 5. Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of Gadarenes. Then they came to the other side of the sea. Go back to verse 35, chapter 4. On the same day when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." I just want to talk for a few minutes, really a few minutes, about going to the other side.
All right.
Going to the other side. 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 The other side. If I could just make it.
Yes, sir.
Let's do to the other side.
Yes, sir.
If I could just make it through this. If I could just make it to the other side of what I'm going through.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if I could just make it to the other side of this sickness, if I could just make it to this other side of bereavement, the pain is just unbearable. If I could just make it to the other side of my finances.
Yeah.
The other side.
Yeah.
If I could just make it to the other side of my disappointment, just make it to, if I could just get through this stage and make it to the other side. Because what I'm going through is a struggle for me. If I could just get to the other side.
I see.
My focus is I just got to make it to the other side. The other side. So we're just going to talk a little about going to the other side. In chapter 4, we are introduced to what we find Jesus teaching are preaching to the multitude. He's preaching to the multitude, and he's preaching in the form of parables, forms of parables. He's preaching to the multitude in the forms of parables. And some of the folk, even in his own crowd, the disciples, did not understand all the parables.
All right.
So Jesus begins to explain in great detail to his 12 disciples about the parables he had just taught, preached them. And the Bible says that Jesus is in the boat, and he's preaching and teaching from the boat. And as he's there, after he finishes preaching, the Bible says that I guess he dismisses church. And he grabs a pillow and goes and lays down and takes a nap. However, prior to him taking a nap, Denise, he says, let us go. Let us cross over to the other side. And he goes to sleep. That's it. Let us cross over to the other side. And then he goes to sleep. Can you imagine if you're one of the disciples? He invites you to cross over to the other side with him and goes to sleep. Now, listen, John, you gotta paint this picture and understand what's happening. And I think it becomes so much more powerful when we really understand that they have just gotten these great Bible lessons for life and living, and Bill, and Jesus says, hey, listen, let's cross over to the other side. Evidently, he had somewhere they needed to go. So he says, let's cross over to the other side. And the disciples say, hey, I'm game, let's go. You know, let's go. And I can imagine the disciples are there, and they're talking about the parables they learned that day. You know, they're excited about the journey, and as they begin to take off, take off, and then, you know, these are trained fishermen. So I can imagine in my sanctified imagination that they could look up in the skies and say, hey, it's getting kind of cloudy out here. You know, and one or two of them had to say, you know, listen, those are not the regular storm clouds that we're used to see. It's not going to be a drizzle. It's going to be getting kind of dark out here. It's going to rain pretty bad. Listen. So the storm comes, and as the storm comes, I can imagine, you know, it started drizzling first, Charlene, and then the drizzle turned into straight up rain. The rain turned to a straight up storm, and then the storm turned into panic.
All right.
They began to panic because the waves start beating into the boat. You know, and you know, it's when stuff starts beating into us that we begin to panic. You know, it's okay when it's going on out here, but when it enters into here, you know, when it begins to wake you up at night. You know, it's okay when you casually choose to think about it, but when it becomes your every thought and you can't help but to think about it, you spend more time trying to dismiss it out of your mind. You know, it's something different about that. And so the waves began to beat in the boat, and a panic came on. You know, listen. When my finances wake me up in the middle of the night.
Help us, bro.
When the news about the company downsizing and they're going to eliminate your department. You know, it's a one thing when they're downsizing and eliminating that department. But when they start talking about eliminating, come on, it's a little bit different. You know, when you get the news, this past week I had some news about my brother. He's gone through a couple of surgeries, you know, and I'm very prayerful for him and trusting God's going to do what he's going to do. You know, but it's different when you get the news about. You know God is able when it comes to them, but when you get the. I need to help somebody. I mean, it becomes real then, you know. When you find out that it's about. So the text says that they began to be in a panic. And they do the logical thing. They go to Jesus. Now, isn't it amazing that that when we become in a panic and a storm comes in our lives, that how fast we are willing to go to Jesus in.
All right.
Huh? Listen, it just blows my mind. You know, as a preacher pastor, I get the phone call from so-and-so, and they tell me that they're struggling in life, that they did something they had no business doing it, and now they got a court case coming up, and I don't even have to ask them to come to church on Sunday.
All right. That's right. All right.
I mean, a storm is the greatest invitation to get somebody to come to church. I mean, they will be there on that particular Sunday, you know, and you can always tell when the calm has come through. I mean, you know, when the storm is going on, they got lifted hands, they're on their knees, tears coming down their eyes, but as soon as the calm comes, I'm trying to help somebody. Listen, and when that calm comes, you know what? And you stop coming, you're presenting yourself as a candidate for another. We're gonna get to that in just a second. So they have this storm that comes up for the fathers, and they go to Jesus and they wake him up, and you know, can you imagine Jesus trying to give him some rest? Now, he in his human side, he has been preaching and teaching all day, you know, and he's wore out, you know, from delivering the message, and he's trying to get a little rest, and they go and shake him. They say, "Hold on, Master, don't you care that we are over here perishing, about to die?" You know the kind of prayer I'm talking about, you know, that when that storm comes in your life and you go to Jesus and you talk to him like he has no clue of what's going on in your life, oh Lord, I mean, you down on you say your deuce bendus, both knees. I'm not talking about one knee prayer. I'm talking both knees are up. You're by the side of the bed, you know, you walk in and somebody walk in and they see you just crying out to God. They shake him and say, "Don't you care that we're perishing, about to die? You know, this thing is about to take me under. You understand that, right? You know, this situation is about to take me under. This storm I'm going through is about to take me under. It's about to take me out of here. It's about to take my finances out of here. It's about to take my family out of here. It's about to take my health out of here. It's about to take me under. Yeah. Don't you care?" And the beautiful thing about Jesus, if you notice in the text, when Jesus arises, he rises and he doesn't rebuke them first. He wakes up and says, "Peace, be still." Now, listen, he understood that before he could even talk to them, he had to get the situation out of control. Listen, so he says, "Peace, be still." And I've shared with you in the past that when he says "peace, be still," actually what he's saying is sit down and shut up. That's the translation of what he's telling. He speaks to the winds and the waves. He says, "Sit down and shut up." And so he tells the situation, the storm. He tells the storm, "Sit down and shut up." He can speak to your situation just like that. Sit down and shut up. Let me tell you, the beautiful thing about it is, as a parent, he understands. Sit down and shut up. You scaring my child. All right. The Bible says that he comes and then he turns and says, why are y'all so fearful? Why are you trying to help somebody right now? Somebody being dealt with right now in the house. Why are you so afraid? Why are you so scared of this storm? And the thing is, he says, you don't have no faith? He didn't say just a little faith, he said no faith. Because if you really understand the text in its entirety and what's going on, which we're going to address, is the fact that Jesus is trying to teach him a lesson. Let me tell you. What he does is, he starts off preaching and teaching to the multitude. Then he goes and he explains to the disciples. So what happens is, he gives them some word, and then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So he gives you some word to increase your faith. But then he turns around and tests that which he has taught. We have learned here, and it's been tried and true, that a faith that has not been tested cannot be.
Amen.
It cannot be trusted. It cannot be trusted. So, it's amazing. You can have a whole lot of faith when it's somebody else.
Come on.
Yeah.
But when it lands on your doorstep.
Yeah.
So the text is tailored to teach us that he's going to test the faith. So listen. So then he allows a storm to come. He allows a storm to come. We've learned, and you got to get this one down. It's not in my notes overhead, but we've learned there are two basic types of storms. Storms of perfection and storms of correction.
All right.
Storms of perfection and storms of correction. Storms of perfection and storms of correction. Two basic types of storms. Now listen, storms of corrections, this is when God has to discipline us. He has to discipline us. He has to discipline us. He has to chastise those he loves. A storm of correction. Then there are storms of perfection. This is when God is trying to grow us. He's trying to grow me. He's trying to grow me. He's trying to take me to another level. So he's trying to grow me. So two basic types of. Now here's reality. Now it's between you and God to know the difference between the storm that you're in. The storm that you're in. The storm that you're in. Now, one of the easiest ways to tell what kind of storm it is to know if you're in his will or if you're not in his will. Now you know, and let's get real specific because I don't want to mess anybody up here. Listen, you know that God has the ability to take you through a storm, that's in an area where you are being disobedient. And if you know that you're being disobedient in that area, trust me, my brothers and sisters, it's a storm of correction.
Right.
If you know that you're in his will and you're aligned with what his purpose for your life, it's a storm of perfection. Now, the easiest one is, if I know that I am continuously in and out and robbing God, you will find your finances going through a storm. And it's a storm of correction. Bottom line, I mean, I know it sounds like, what a God that's merciful and kind, loving, allow me to constantly have my finances going under. Yes, because he loves you too much to let you stay the way you are.
Amen.
Storm of correction, storm of perfection. And you have to be honest with yourself and with God and say, God, what are you trying to teach me in this storm? Because he's allowed it to come your way for a reason and a purpose. Listen. One of the serious misunderstandings about storms are that we believe that storms are there to knock us off our purpose and our destination. But oftentimes storms are there to keep you on your purpose and your destination, where God is trying to get you. He's trying to get you. Now listen. And I think that every prayer should be, Lord, don't let me waste this storm.
Amen.
Man, can you imagine that God is trying to teach you something and allow the storm to come in your life, and you then don't get the message, you miss it, therefore you got to go through that?
Amen.
Yeah.
Listen, let's move real fast. Listen. Now, here. Understand in this text that God makes it clear that He wants you to get to the other side. To the other side. To the other side. Whatever it is, he wants you to get to the other side. So the first point I want to share with you is when he says, let us go to the other side. Let us go to the other side suggests at least three things. At least three things. At least three things. We're going to have some fun with this. Let's do it. The first thing that it suggests to us, when he says, let us go to the other side, right, the first thing it suggests to us that the other side is promised.
All right.
Bottom line, if he says that we're going to the other side, that's a promise he's making. He's going to get me to the other side. Listen, he's going to get me to the other side. Let us go to the other side. Let's go to the other side. Listen, and if he says he's going to take me to the other side, we're going to go to the other side. Listen here, then we understand that if he says and make a promise to me of going to the other side, that means also he's going to provide whatever I need.
I see.
The suggestion to the text, he's going to provide whatever listen, if you need peace, he's going to provide peace.
Yes, I see.
Whatever you stand in the need of to make it to the other side, he is going to provide.
Amen. That's right.
Yes.
Not only so the peace going to the other side is promised. The provisions are there for you. And then listen. And third thing, there's a suggestion in the text. If he says he's taking you to the other side, he's going to provide protection for you too. He's going to protect you while you're going to the other side. He's going to the other side. Now listen. So we understand that these things are here. He's provided them for us. We're going to the other side. Whatever your situation is, he wants to take you to the other side. Now listen. Second, going to the other side is an invitation to join him in what he is doing. Get this down. Going to the other side is an invitation to join him in what he is doing. It is an invitation to be a part of the process. When he says that let us go to the other side, he's told you he's going to get you to the other side, and he's inviting you, Sister Bridget, to go to the other side with him. It's an invitation to join him to go to the other side. It's an invitation. And listen, because if you look at the text, the disciples could have easily said, I'm not going to get in the boat.
Yeah.
All right.
When he said, let us go to the other side, he said, oh, no, I'm going to stay right here. But the text says that they got in the boat with him, so it was an invitation to join them. Now here's the deal. The problem is that the process is usually messy. The process is usually messy. The process is usually, it just gets messy. The process of going to the other side is messy. You know, I've seldom found that when God has taken me someplace, to another level, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
The process it's messy. It's messy. And I've learned that I really don't do well in a mess. But folks, I got to be reminded that I'm going through a process right now. I'm going through a process. Listen, and when I accepted that invitation, I accepted the invitation to go through the process. It's kind of like, I'm always amazed when I run into people and they have their job and they're on their job and Bill, they get a little attitude because they're expected to work when they get there. They're expected to be there on time and do their job. They're expected to do.
All right.
It sounds, but you did accept the invitation. You did accept the invitation to go to. Come on, let's keep going because I don't lose somebody right there. Listen. So you accept the invitation to go through the process. The process is a little messy. It gets messy. It gets messy. Listen. But you really got to wrap your mind around this. Listen. It's really not mess. It's really progress.
I see.
But it depends on how you're looking at it. Listen, I guess it was it was the first of the year. I went to my office, and my office needed to be updated. Hadn't been updated in a while, so I decided to put some new floors in, throw some new paint on the wall, freshen it up a little bit, Sister Betty. Got some new furniture in there, put some new paintings on the wall, and this was supposed to take place over a weekend. Well, about Sunday they got started real good. We over here, and they over there tearing my office up, and so I go over there on Monday, and it is just, oh my God. It's just a mess, dust everywhere, but I understood that it's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process. Listen, let me tell you. And so I go to my office on Monday, and I call up my team. People who work with me are there, and there's this one team member that we will remain nameless. Y'all meet her or anything. We'll just refer to her as Chicken Little. Okay, Chicken Little. Because I promise you, no matter what happens, the sky is falling. The sky is falling, and so I go in there and read, oh my God, it's a mess in here. Now, Trey, I don't need nobody to give me an update on what the place looks like. I was here all last week. I know what but I spent more time calming her down until it's just part of the process. Listen. And then, by the end of the week, everything was going to shoot. Oh, it looks real good in here. Customers walk in. Y'all, I got pain. Understand that when you're going to the other side and God is trying to get you somewhere, it's going to get messy. But because it's messy does not mean that it's not progress. So you got to stop focusing on the mess and start focusing on the fact that I'm progressing. He's trying to get me somewhere. He's trying to get me somewhere. The process gets messy. Now here's the thing in the process. The process, if you're not careful, will break your spirits.
Yeah. All right.
That's why you got to constantly be focusing on the fact that he promised to get me to the other side.
I see.
Now, I'm going to take it even deeper for you. If you don't accept the fact that he's trying to get you to the other side, and it's going to be a process, you'll find yourself staying in a bad place. I'll share with you. Most of y'all know that I like to play golf. I enjoy playing golf. However, I am not very good. That's just being honest. I'm not very good. I've had my share of mishit balls and broken windows and all that kind of stuff. Just keep moving. So and the reason why, Bill, I'm not that good is because I learned how to play with other golfers who are not that good. You can't outgrow your teacher, and if they're not good, and I'm learning how to play through them. Come on, no, check this out. So I decided I wanted to get better. And so I said, well, you need to go see a golf pro and take some lessons. So I go to the golf pro and I'm going to take some lessons, Don, and we get out there and he said, well, show me your swing. And I showed him that swing, right? He goes, ooh. He said, ooh. He told me, he says, well, we're going to have to break your swing in order to fix it. And so it's going to get worse before it gets. And so I told him, no, thank you. I'll just leave this broken swing like it is. You know what? part of the process that you're going through and getting to the other side, God's going to break you of some things. He's going to break you of some habits, some thought processes, a mindset. He's going to have to break you up. You're thinking that you're looking down on folk, that it couldn't happen to me. He's going to break you of some things. And many times, many of us just say, no, thank you. I'll stay right. But if you're going through the process, you got to understand that he's trying to get you somewhere and get you to the other side. Get you to the other side. Listen, so it gets messy. Listen, it's progress. It's progress. It's progress. Now listen. Going to the other side takes faith and not facts. Going to the other side takes faith and not facts. I'm going to stop. Going to the other side takes faith and not facts. Now listen. Can you imagine what would have happened if Jesus would have told them that when you get out there, a storm is going to arise? If he would have told them that this is going to happen when you get out there, they would have surely said, no. But can you imagine if Jesus would have told the children of Israel, it's going to take you 40 years. Right. No, sir. We will stay right here making bricks out of straw. No, sir. We will not leave bondage. Listen. That's why God asks for us to have faith, and he doesn't give us all the facts. Because if he would have told me what it was going to look like down the road, oh no, we would have went with a different plan. No, this is not the plan for me. No. If he would have told you you're going to cry sometime, if he would have told you you're find yourself in the middle of the night just crying and tossing and turning, you can't sleep, if he would have told you that, no, he says, I need you to have faith and not all the facts. Because God is trying to get me to stop looking for the facts. He's just looking for my faith. He's looking for my faith. And then I'm just going to make it quick and stop here. Look here. God has something for me, for you, on the other side. And it's something that we really need. I want y'all to look at this text and open your Bibles and go to Mark chapter 5. I'm going to read part of this beginning in verse 1. And then I'm going to share with you what God has shared with me about the storm and what is on the other side of the storm. Look at verse 1 in chapter 5. Then they came to the other side of the sea. So evidently they made it through the storm. Came to the other side of the sea, to the country of Gadarenes. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. You see that? Who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, not even with chains, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces. Neither could anyone tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stones. You see that? Now skip down to verse 18. And when he, capital E, Jesus, got into the boat, he who had been demon-possessed begged him that he might be with him. However, Jesus did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you, and how he has had compassion on you." And he departed and began to proclaim all that Jesus had done for him, and all marveled. Y'all see that? Let me tell you, Let me tell you what's on the other side of every storm. Get this in your spirit. Deliverance.
Amen.
Deliverance is on this other side of every storm. Deliverance is on the other side of every storm. God has some things that he wants to deliver you from. However, it's going to take a storm to deliver you. Now, listen. I want you to really think about this. Now, not about show of hands, but think of a storm that you have been in or you went through that's really out. I mean, this one you really thought, you had that storm that you really thought could take you out of here, could take you under. Listen. And when you come out of that storm, what happens is you're delivered.
Yes,
You're
sir.
delivered from this fact. This is how your deliverance looks. Your focus is changed. I'm trying to help somebody. My focus is changed once I come to the other side. I used to focus on certain things, but now my focus is on God.
Amen.
My focus, can I listen. I used to really be concerned about what folks said about me.
Come on.
But when I came out of that storm,
Amen.
I was really concerned about what God says.
Amen.
I used to be really concerned about how people saw me, what they thought about me. I'm really concerned about, God, are you pleased with me?
Yes, sir.
Because what happens is, listen, that storm will deliver you from what other folk think.
Yeah.
It'll deliver you from things that you thought were important to you at one time.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell y'all, and I say this with heartbreaking compassion. My older sister, I just called her from neighbor to Ruby a long time ago. I was 21, she was 28, and we were thick as thieves. We used to hang out and talk all the time, and she was kind of my bougie sister. She was buying Gucci before I knew what Gucci was. Matter of fact, she bought me some Gucci products. I didn't know what it was, And she's always buying stuff for me and everything. And so she liked nice things. And I'll never forget, she was very ill, and we were in her room, and we were laying across the bed just talking. We just lay across the bed and just talk all the time. And she had been struggling with this illness for a long time. And I'll never forget, with tears in her eyes, we're just talking. She says, if I only had my health, that's what I really want. If I only had my health. Let me tell you, Gucci wasn't important at that point. It will change your focus. A storm will change your, the focus. Your focus will become so much clearer than what God really wants from me. You know what? Listen. Before the storm, I wasn't really concerned about my purpose.
All right.
But when you go through that storm, and you're coming out of that storm, you start thinking like, God, what would you have for me to do? God, where are you leading me? How are we going to take this mess and make it a message? How are we going to turn this into a ministry? What do you want? So in essence, he's trying to break some chains and deliver me from some foolishness that I thought was. That's on the other side. So now check this out. Now, and just because, help me, Holy Spirit, just because you are in a storm does not mean that you're not in God's will.
All right.
You very much can be in God's will and be in a storm.
That's right.
But listen, it's your responsibility, it's my responsibility to get in the boat and stay in the boat.
Amen.
It's his responsibility to get me to the other side.
That's right.
So listen, Lord, no matter what happens, I'm going to trust you. Let me throw this one out at you. We're going to stop. I promise you right here. I promise you're going to stop here. I promise you're going to stop here. Let me throw this last one. I encourage you. Listen, if God has spoken to you and sent you an invitation to join him in what he is doing, he's invited you to get in the boat with him, and you accept the invitation. Because a storm comes, don't buy into the fact, maybe I should not have gotten into the boat.
Come on.
No, he wanted you in the boat and he has not changed. And he's going to get you to the other side, but you got to trust him. Don't get out the boat. Can you imagine if they would have gotten out the boat and got in? Let me tell y'all something. I'll end it here. I'd rather be in the boat with him than on the sea without him. Every head is bowed and eyes closed.